Shortly after the Russian invasion began, some uncertain rumors began to spread widely throughout the whole world, mostly on the internet, about a mystery Ukrainian fighter pilot in an MiG-29 eliminating 6 enemy aircraft within the first hour of the war. We know right now you might be wondering, is this true, or another made-up story? The mysterious military hero, nicknamed the Ghost of Kyiv on the internet, had been taken to the sky since the beginning of the invasion and was said to have eliminated 21 Russian aircraft killed on Wednesday. These swift counts immediately made the Ukrainian pilot the first supposed ace of the 21st century. However, the Ghost of Kyiv is almost certainly a myth or more visibility. It is an incredibly useful name as Ukraine tries to rally all its citizens to resist Russia's conquest. A good number of videos and related photos of the MiG-29 clashing in action shared on the internet and other platforms have been proven by a series of fact-checkers and many researchers to be nothing related to the incident but old, outdated, and, in some instances, referred to as repurposed videos from a popular video game flight simulator. Additionally, certain facts or reports of an MiG-29 shooting down multiple Russian aircraft since the beginning of the invasion have not been independently analyzed and verified. But that hasn't halted the Ukrainian media, government, and politicians from spreading tales of the ghost throughout the internet in order to uplift or boost the morale and support of the defenses of their nation. Ghost of Kyiv MiG-29 pilot in the first 30 hours of the Russian invasion into Ukraine swiftly gained 6 air victories in the sky over Kyiv by eliminating 2 Su-35 jets, 2 Su-25 jets, 1 Su-27, and 1 MiG-29, with confirmation to be his 15th flight already. So, who's this hero? On February 25th, the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine further iced the rumors by tweeting, "The Ghost of Kyiv may be one of the reserve pilots who returned to fight after the Russian invasion." The Ministry of Defense tweeted dozens of experienced military pilots from the capital to general, previously released from the reserve, are now returning to the Air Force. He continued, "Who knows, maybe one of them is the pilot of the MiG-29, which is so often seen by the people of Kyiv." The blatant fact that the Russian Air Force has not yet established air superiority in Ukrainian airspace is most certainly the catalyst helping to keep the myth alive. A U.S. senior defense official speaking on the condition of anonymity told reporters that Ukrainian air defense remains operational and said the skies are very contested and very dynamic. More significantly, a lack of clear information from the Russian and Ukrainian governments regarding casualties has added to the ghost. Ukraine's defense ministry highlighted boldly that nearly 6,000 Russian troops and 30 aircraft had been eliminated by its forces as of Wednesday morning. Later in that day, Russia's defense ministry claimed that 500 of its troops had died, but it hasn't shared what aircraft had been lost. At the moment, it seems the major asset of the Ukrainians is the Ghost of Kyiv, and bringing it to the fight is increasing the momentum and morale amongst Ukrainian citizens willing to take up arms and repel the Russian invasion. According to Peter Singer, an American political scientist and author of Like War, The Weaponization of Social Media, the Ghost of Kyiv is the latest example of how the government uses hero narratives to inspire bravery and morale when people are oppressed. It is a very classic human need to find and search for heroes amidst tales of horror, Singer said, adding, "It's something the governments involved need to generate and push." Although it's important to highlight that Russia has always been considered the master of information warfare by many security experts, Ukrainians have been effectively utilizing Telegram, Twitter, and Facebook to push war narratives that have been shared at unparalleled levels. Singer said, "In any information warfare, but all the more in the new social media version of it, you need to supply a steady diet of surprises." There are many other significant tales in Ukraine, like the Ukrainian Reaper, a soldier who was said to have eliminated 20 enemies within the first day of the invasion, as well as the courageous story of the fate of the Ukrainian soldiers on Snake Island, who were initially reported to have been killed, but were later announced to have been captured. While the stories happen to have rallied Ukrainian and intercontinental support for the defenses, it is not clear whether the myth is having any effect on Russia's military forces. At the Atlantic Council and co-author with Singer of their book Like War, Emerson Brookings stated that it is likely that many average residents and Russian soldiers are aware of the myths. He also stated that war myths have never been taken up by a broader Western audience, quite like the ones happening in Ukraine. Some Russian meme channels supporting the actions of President Vladimir Putin have been aimed at by the Ghost of Kyiv. A very good example that comes to mind is that the Telegram channel had a meme expressly making jest of the Ghost of Kyiv. Brookings stated, he also stated, the contest here was to look at the Western media and Ukrainians inventing something because they have no hope. He further explained that many Russian citizens didn't even know about the Ukraine invasion until a week earlier, and that their war myths and memes will most definitely enter into high gear when the state media builds wider support for the conflicts. While in America, many internet users were disappointed to find out that the Ghost of Kyiv is most definitely not realistic. Although the fighter pilot may not exist, one thing is certainly true: Ukraine is holding its own in the skies. As Russia's wide-scale invasion of Ukraine grinds through continually, there have been convoys of Russian military forces marching towards Kyiv, and there has been no shortage of claims and counterclaims between Ukraine and Russia. To many people, especially based on the views of the outside spectators, supporters, and many more, it is very clear that the story of the Ghost of Kyiv sounds fanciful in the extreme. The fact that a single Ukrainian pilot, flying a jet that is thoroughly outnumbered and outclassed by the Russian opposition, has conducted crazy flights over the sky of the capital city in broad daylight, and the process becomes a major ace. This is something that is known definitely to have been achieved in World War II and strictly stretches the threat of credibility. Christopher Miller tweeted on Twitter, "I spotted what I'm pretty sure are 2 Ukrainian fighter jets heading northeast towards Kyiv and then back in the southwestern direction from which they came. This was one of them. Could this be a ghost? Does the ghost exist?" While the odds seem a little high, they are true based on the initial incident started by the Ukrainian government. However, there is the slimmest possibility that someone extraordinary happened that day in the state capital. The battle for superiority in the annals of air combat in Kyiv. Even if it didn't include a pilot becoming an ace in a day, just simply achieving a good number of kills in a single day under such circumstances would have been a high achievement for the history books. Another problematic situation is that most of the claims of aircraft destruction and scores from both parties are still null and void so far, as none have come up with concrete evidence such as credible videos and photos or even confirmation from third-party countries to back their claims. Furthermore, the exception confirmed by reliable sources involves fixed-wing aircraft as opposed to helicopters, not excluding a Ukrainian Air Force AN-26 transportation aircraft and a Ukrainian Su-27 flanker fighter jet. The latter was probably destroyed during the clash between both forces in the state capital at night and was likely responsible for the huge fireball seen in the sky in Kyiv. The Russian ministry stated that this jet was brought down in error by Ukrainian air defenses, while Ukraine says it was a Russian missile that took it down. If the Ghost of Kyiv really exists, then does it have the same kind of mystique that the well-known Red Baron had in World War I when Allied pilots were afraid of confronting him before they even made flight, Singer asked. He replied to his statement, "I don't think we can answer that part, but do you think the Ukrainian air defenses fought back better than the Russians ever thought? What advantage does the mythical Ghost of Kyiv have for the Ukrainian army against the Russian forces? Do you think Putin and the Russian army will be swayed by the actions of the Ukrainian government?" Let us know your thoughts about all of this in the comment section below. Don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video.